All right, so let's get the update here on Friday's show. She found her kid's journal and wasn't sure if she was going to read it or not. Is that what happened?
Yeah, so she did what she felt was the right thing as a mom and to, figure out what's going on in her teenager's life. And she found her daughter's journal and she read the recent entry about her going to a party this weekend, there being drinking and her hooking up with a boy. She also admitted that she went back into some other entries and her daughter had some pretty coarse language about her and had some not so nice things to say about her. And I pointed out that obviously she was never meant to read that. And as a teenager in those just massive hormone fluxes and going through puberty, when you go to your journal, you're not going because everything's puppies and rainbows and sunshine. You're going because you're mad. You're going because you're angry. You're going because you're hurt, typically. And so whatever you write down is going to be the extreme emotion that you're feeling. So tried to convince mom not to take that stuff too personal and get into her daughter's mindset of where she might have been when she wrote that.
How much did she read?
She didn't specify.
Okay.
No, I mean, she said she read the recent entry and then went back a couple of entries and read some not so nice things about her.
It would be really hard not to open that thing up if you're a parent. It would be like a magnet, I think.
I can imagine.
But her biggest concern was the fact that she was going to a party this weekend. There was going to be drinking, and she had been planning on hooking up with a boy that she liked, that she had recently started getting into. So her dilemma was, do I tell my husband? Do I tell the father? Do I confront her? Or is there a way to talk about this without, because I don't want to lose her trust and don't want her to know that I read her journal, but how do I go about having that conversation with her and not disclosing, by the way, I read all of this in your private journal.
So I wasn't here on Friday. So in retrospect, I think my opinion would have been, yes, go to your husband. You guys are raising a child together. That's not something you can keep secret. But in my case, I wouldn't tell them that I read the journal. I would just have a talk before they went to the party in general about what should be expected and what's appropriate and what's not.
That was our advice.
It was? Okay.
Yep, that was exactly that.
All right. So let's get a follow-up here and find out how it went. Mo's got the email.
All right. I feel like we've done irreparable damage, and I don't know how to fix our relationship with our daughter. I say we because it felt wrong to keep this information from my husband. I ended up telling him what I read in her journal. He was shocked, angry, and floored that his little girl could behave in such a manner. I made him promise me that he would keep his cool because I didn't want to destroy the trust we had built with her. I told him to keep this information to himself, and I would have a conversation with her. Friday, I asked her to run some errands with me. Like a true teenager, she was reluctant. But when I told her I was going to Target and would get her some Starbucks, she was in.
Shocker.
In the car, we had what I thought was a productive conversation about drinking and her friends. She admitted she had tried a seltzer at a friend's house once, but didn't like it. Then I moved the combo to boys. I asked her if there was anyone she was interested in. She flat out said no. I wanted to press further, but didn't. That's when I started the convo about not feeling pressured to do anything she didn't want to do. Even though she seemed embarrassed by the conversation, I felt it went decently. I honestly felt comfortable with her going to the party after all. At dinner that night, she ended up getting a little bit of an attitude with her dad, and that's when he blew up. It was completely disproportionate only because he was sitting on his information. He never should have responded to her, I roll this way. He grounded her saying, there's no way you're going to that party tomorrow night, drinking and hooking up with Devin.
Oh.
Her jaw dropped. She asked how he knew about Devin. At that point, there was no hiding it. He said, your mother read your journal, and we know that you are and we know what you are planning. And you can forget about it. I was livid at him and heartbroken for her. She looked at me with disgust and ran to her room. At this current moment, I'm not speaking to my husband, and my daughter is not speaking to me or him.
Well, at least everybody's getting a lot of quiet solo time in the house. That's nice.
However, screen time has been up.
A little self-time.
Yeah, by everybody, right?
If there are any other parents out there that have gone through something similar, I would love any advice on how I can attempt to fix this situation.
Yeah, first calls to a therapist now, family therapist.
Dad, what?
He lost it, man.
What to do? Anybody? 1-855-BERT Show.
I'm trying to remember what we said on Friday, if we tell dad or not to tell dad. I think we said not to tell dad.
I think we said don't.
Really?
Yeah,
Pretty sure we did.
and I know because you're out the gate. You're like, you're raising a kid together. You deserve to know what's going on, and I get that.
I'd be very pissed if I'm the dad and mom knew that and didn't share that with me. I would be really upset by that.
I would get that, rightfully so.
But we still said don't tell dad.
Yep. Because it couldn't help.
I conveniently remembered that after we read this email, and I just wanted to throw that out there that we said not to tell dad.
Look, here's how I handle it with my kids, and they certainly aren't perfect. That is for sure. Look, when I screw things up, I tell them. We sit down. I mean, in a case like this, I would probably sit her down and say, look, your dad and I made some mistakes here. We did it out of love. We thought we were trying to protect you. We feel like we overstepped boundaries and we handled it incorrectly, and it won't be handled that way if you feel this way. I mean, there are some parents that are like, you know what, it's my kid. It's my duty to go through their journal and protect them. For me, it would be like, that was a mistake. I'm sorry we breached your trust. We get over that, and now we start the real issue here, which is what you're doing in your personal life and how you are putting yourself at risk.
Yeah, there in the beginning, you used a lot of we's, and I'd be like, nah, hubby. You're on your own on this one. You go in and you take full ownership of how you handled it.
Yeah,
You
but,
should.
I mean, mom might feel bad that she looked in the journal in the first place.
Yeah, it was a team effort. Because if mom doesn't find it, then dad can't blow it. I think that's what you do as well. I mean, I think you just have to take full accountability and give her some time on this one. But yeah, I know a lot of parents would be like, hey, my house, my rules. I found it, I read it, but I think it's wrong.
I've found that the my house, my rules thing, especially nowadays, because it is a really different climate when it comes to kids in this generation, doesn't really work that much anymore, man. So for me, I'm sitting them down going, look, let's be honest about everything that just happened. They yell at me. Not yell. My kids never yell at me. They express that they're upset. I express that I'm upset. We work it out together. I think it's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
The Bert Show.
So first, thanks for watching. Second, you like what you just watched? That just scratches the surface. Get the Bert Show on any podcast platform. We're so good.